Here. I hope you're all really well. Thank you for being here on my YouTube channel. It is new, so please do like and subscribe. All the support means so much to me right now. So today I wanted to share a message about the feminine energy and just explaining briefly what it is and how we can tap further into our divine feminine energy and how that is going to benefit you and our world as well. So as you all probably know, we all have masculine and feminine energies, and the masculine is generally the rigid, structured energy that is very direct, and it has a sense of clarity, whereas the feminine energy is more free-flowing and it is more just free. It's the energy of creativity, as naturally the feminine energy is creation. So we've lived in a world where everything has been so masculine dominated, and I say this in terms of the structures of the way we live our day-to-day life. Everything is so time controlled, and there's always a routine, so there's always so much structure in our life, and to an extent that is completely required. But we have to learn to balance our feminine energies within that as well, which is using our intuition to guide us, and enjoying the moment as well. But we can see this within ourselves as well. So the masculine within myself, for example, would be where I'm more organised, where I'm more direct with what I'm trying to convey to someone in a message. And the feminine energy would be my connection to spirit, or using my imagination to create my home, or how I present myself. But the feminine energy is also very compassionate and healing, and naturally when you meet someone you will be able to connect or feel their feminine energy, because it would be very open and gracious, and so within our society for such a long time we've lived more within our masculine energy, and it's not anyone's fault necessarily. It's just a society that we've been born into. Everything has been so structuralized, and we've been forced to go within our masculine energy more so. But with that, it has become a certain masculine energy has become quite unhealthy. So where it's become more power driven and controlling, that is the darker aspects of the masculine energy. And similarly, there is darker aspects to the feminine energy as well. But in this video I want to talk more about how to connect within your own feminine energy and what that might feel like or look like, because we're in a time where the feminine energy is rising within every single one of us, and that means for men as well. So we have kind of lived in a society where we think that men don't have emotions or feelings, but really what that is, it's just that men have kind of been encouraged, I want to say, to adhere to a certain alpha male way of being, which apparently doesn't consider the feminine energy, and so unfortunately a lot of men have had to suppress those parts of themselves. But equally there's many women who are more in their masculine energy than their feminine energy. And I wouldn't say that everyone has to have a complete balance of their masculine and feminine, because certainly some women are going to have more feminine energy, such as myself, and equally there will be men who are actually more connected to their feminine energy, and that is completely fine. But it's just the way, it's just about finding a balance between your masculine and feminine that works for you really. But you don't want to be if you find, for example, that you're more in your feminine energy than your masculine, then you might actually want to try and tap more into your masculine energy, so just so that you can optimize both energies for the best for yourself. So as I was saying about the feminine energy, as we rise in consciousness, as we are at the moment through the ascension journey, we are tuning more into our heart. So the lower chakras, such as the root chakra, the sacral and the solar plexus, have been more embedded into lower density, so lower levels of consciousness. And now as we move further in consciousness, we're going into the heart space, which is love and conditional love. And then we go as we rise higher in consciousness, we go further up within the chakra system. So at the moment we are tuning further into unconditional love, which is the heart chakra, and so this is enabling the feminine energy to rise within Mother Earth and within ourselves as well. So you might find that you've already had a shift where you are finding that you're being more loving to yourself or to other people, but it may not be the case as well, because there's so much chaos going on in the world, so it's quite hard sometimes to go back into that place of love and safety when there's just so much chaos going on in the world. But I hope that this video kind of helps reinforce you tuning back into love, really, because what we have to do is, in every situation in our life, is choose love. So even if that is a disagreement with someone, rather than being led by the ego and blaming or arguing or trying to get a point across, it's about tuning back into love and finding that higher place within yourself, where you can respond from a place of love, forgiveness, understanding, compassion and healing. And you will find that not only will your life feel more flowing and easy and blissful, but you'll also have this impact on other people around you as well. But when we go into that lower state of responding from anger or resentment or frustration or the ego, then we're going to kind of perpetuate that cycle within our life. And we're just not really we're not really helping ourselves or other people when we do that. But it doesn't mean to suppress your emotions. So if you are feeling like something unjust has happened, then you do need to express those emotions, but then just remind yourself that that situation or those feelings, it isn't necessarily what is true. It's teaching you about a disalignment in what has happened in that situation, but for you to go back then into your natural state of being, which is love. And I hope that makes sense. So that is, I would say, one of the things that I would say for you to tune back into your feminine energy is to find love in every situation. And another thing is surrendering. So I find that as humans we need answers for everything, and we want control over ourselves and other people and the situations around us. We want that new job now, or we want that money now, or we want that person to tell us that they like us now, those kinds of things. We want everything on our own terms, but part of tapping into the feminine energy is trusting in God, trusting in spirit or the universe, whatever you want to call it, and surrendering into that space. So definitely do the things that you need to in order to achieve that job or that dream, but surrender into divine timing. Just trust that it will happen when it's supposed to. Don't keep forcing it and pushing things to be a certain way. Just have trust that everything will align naturally as it is supposed to, because as much as we are the creators of our own life, there is a much divine plan in order for us, and certain things have already been pre-planned or predestined within our life, which we would have contracted before we came into this incarnation. And so I would say that's another thing, is to just trust and surrender into spirit, and also to be forgiving in situations. I think it's so hard because there's been so much trauma within each one of our lives, and sometimes we hold on to that story or the emotions, but we have to come to the stage in our life where we have to give up those stories and those emotions in order to propel forward within our lives, because otherwise we end up attaching ourselves to being a victim of what has happened to us. But we have to go back into that state of empowerment and knowing that the power is within us, to make ourselves feel better, to give ourselves the things that we truly want in our lives and how we want our life to look. And in every moment you have the power to embrace life the way that you choose, and it's all about perspective. So I wanted to really keep this video short, but I would say they are the 3 tips that I would encourage for you. So one is to be forgiving in situations to yourself and to other people, and to let things go. Secondly, to surrender and trust in divine timing. And thirdly is always to return back to love